The wedding day turned into Leo's first celebration. My engagement photo with Liam was torn in half, directly replaced with Jamie's son's diaper-clad photo. My friends who came to the wedding were shocked. Liam, however, smiled with smug satisfaction. The venue was already booked anyway, it's no big deal to use it for a kid. We can have a wedding anytime, but a buddy's son only turns 100 days old once. A friend asked, but what about Grace? Liam nonchalantly held his glass and said, my buddies come first, wives are replaceable. How could she be more important than the bond Jamie and I share? Besides, Grace is reasonable and loves me so much she dreams of marrying me. It's just a postponed wedding, how much of a fuss can she make? I stood at the doorway in my wedding dress. Hearing his words, I turned and left. Then I picked up my phone and dialed a number. Are you free today? Come get married. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. As I left the hotel, my steps faltered slightly. Liam hadn't been involved since we started planning the wedding. Whether it was the wedding invitations or the ballroom, even the wedding dress, I picked everything out myself. Every time I called him, he was either delivering medicine to Jamie's son or on his way to take care of him. It was as if that wasn't Jamie's son, but his own. Until the day we were scheduled to take our engagement photo. I stood in the center of the photo studio in my wedding dress, calling him countless times. But he didn't even answer the phone, only sending me a text message, I'm really busy. It's just an engagement photo, can't you handle it by yourself? Do you really need 2 people? Even the photographer couldn't stand it. Why are you staying with a husband like this? I bit my lip, shook my head, and covered for him, he's very busy, he really has something important to do. I kept telling myself to understand him. Beck. As he always told me that Jamie had been his buddy for over a decade, that they grew up running around together in their backyard. Don't overthink it. I don't see her that way, I've always considered her my buddy. He sounded very sure. But then came that day. He got drunk and called me, asking me to pick him up. I rushed to the hotel with his jacket, pushed open the hotel room door. The hotel room was a mess. Besides fallen liquor bottles on the floor, there were clothes everywhere. On the bed, Liam was shirtless, with Jamie wrapped in his arms, both sound asleep. At that moment, my mind went blank. I didn't even have the strength to question them. Only endless pain spread from my chest. I don't know how long I stood there until Jamie groggily opened her eyes, saw me, and smiled. Grace, you're here? Then she turned to look at the sleeping Liam and slapped him. Son. I told you couldn't outdrink Dad, yet you dared to challenge Dad. Get up now, your wife is here to take you home. As she spoke, she even casually pulled up the blanket, looking quite pleased. Grace, don't worry, we didn't take off all our clothes. Liam rubbed his sleepy eyes and sat up. Seeing me, he rubbed his eyes again and walked towards me. As he reached out to hug me, he was still mumbling, honey, she drinks too much, I couldn't beat her. He looked as if he had suffered a great injustice. I turned my head and tossed his clothes at him. You're not wearing anything. Put on some clothes before you talk to me. Jamie, still putting on her clothes, casually said, I told you you're a manipulative jerk for trying to outdrink me. Now look, you're passed out, serves you right. With that, she grabbed Liam's arm and draped it over her shoulder. Grace, don't worry, he's always like this. I'm used to it. Her familiar attitude made it feel like I was the outsider. Liam, slung over her shoulder, was still groggy. He pouted and leaned in. Honey, come here for a kiss. Jamie didn't shy away. Eyed in front of me, they shared a French kiss. Afterward, she smiled at me, that's just Liam. Grace, don't overthink it, he wanted to kiss you. I just couldn't avoid it. When this jerk wakes up, I promise I'll teach him a lesson for you. With that, she actually slapped him. Son. You bullied Grace. When you wake up, see how Dad teaches you a lesson. When woke up the next day, he saw me sitting by the bed, having not slept all night. He rubbed his temples and leaned against me. Honey, rub it, my head is killing me. What happened yesterday? I looked at him, my heart feeling like it was being twisted by a knife. He thought for a moment, as if something suddenly occurred to him. Oh, I remember. Honey, yesterday was my bachelor party, my buddies were just fooling around. Fooling around? Fooling around onto the same bed? He immediately became impatient. Grace, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. How many years have Jamie and I known each other? Over a decade of friendship. Why do you have to measure it with romantic standards? Besides, I was drunk, who knows what happened? And she doesn't mind. Aren't you the most reasonable one? How can you be less understanding than her? I pushed him in front of the mirror, pointing at the scratches on his back, my voice trembling with pain. Look at these. How do you expect me to be understanding? His expression changed, but the next second, he regained his calm demeanor. You're being unreasonable. Jamie is married, has a child, she's my buddy. It's not your first day knowing her, she's always been a tomboy, strong, and it's normal for her to scratch someone when she's drunk. Just as he was speaking, there was a knock at the door. As soon as he opened the door, Jamie squeezed in, holding her child, smiling very intimately. Oh, Grace, I'm here to apologize to you today. I was worried about Leo, so I brought him along. As soon as Liam saw the child, he doted on him like crazy. He held the child and cooed, "F.O. We're getting everything else." The child was still young and couldn't speak yet. But as soon as he saw Liam, he would raise his hands and make a dad sound. Liam and Jamie were ecstatic, laughing together around the child. Oh, look, Leo is calling the wrong person daddy again. Jamie playfully pushed Liam. Honestly, what if Grace misunderstands? Grace, the child doesn't know any better. He just saw Liam often growing up and likes to call him dad whenever he sees him. Liam didn't even look up, his words still carrying lingering annoyance. He completely ignored me standing there, pale-faced, my heart aching so much I could barely stand. Don't worry about her, women are just dramatic. The child is young, just babbling, what's the big deal? At that moment, I didn't feel like his fiancé, instead, I felt like a superfluous backdrop. Jamie proudly walked over to me, pulled me to sit down, and began chatting like an old friend. Oh, Grace, I'm so sorry about yesterday. Liam drank too much, I should have brought him home earlier. Liam was still coaxing the child, rolling his eyes at me, clearly annoyed. Why are you explaining to her? If she insists on overthinking, what can I do? You helped me clean up the mess yesterday, and I haven't even thanked you. Women just love getting all jealous. If you ask me, we buddies have more fun together. What are you talking about? Jamie feigned anger. I'm telling you. If you dare to bully Grace, just wait until Dad teaches you a lesson. Alright, fine, I'll listen to you. Is that enough? Jamie rolled her eyes at him, very satisfied. That's better. Then, she smiled and looked back at me, as if she had really stood up for me. Grace, don't blame him. He really didn't mean anything by it. We grew up running around together, over a decade of friendship. We even bathed together naked when we were little. My mom always laughed, saying we might as well be family. So we've always been just pure buddies, PLE. ASE, don't overthink it. My son's first birthday celebration is coming up soon. I was planning to invite you and Liam then, but at the time I never imagined that the first birthday celebration she invited Liam and me to would be the ballroom that Liam had given away. Even after leaving the hotel, Liam's conversation with his friends echoed in my mind. What's Grace got to do with Jamie's son's first birthday celebration? I'm usually good enough to her. What's so precious about one wedding the ballroom that I can't give it to my godson? His friends couldn't quite stand it anymore. Such a big event as a wedding, and you just unilaterally change the date. What does that matter? Tomorrow I'll just plan a lavish wedding for her, right? A child's 100-day celebration only happens once, but there are plenty of times for a wedding. By the end, Liam was getting impatient. Enough. And I thought you were my friends. Don't you understand the saying, my buddies come first, wives are replaceable? I'm just being loyal and righteous. I think you're all a bunch of guys who ditch friends for women. How could you understand the bond Jamie and I share? Besides, Grace is reasonable and loves me so much she dreams of marrying me. It's just a postponed wedding. How much of a fuss can she make? To be blunt, when she comes back today, won't she just come running to me like a lovesick puppy, begging me to marry her? One of his friends couldn't listen anymore, didn't give Liam any face, and simply stood up and left without a backward glance. As they left, they bumped into me. After giving me a long look, they couldn't say anything directly, only shook their heads with a sigh of regret, then left without looking back. Everyone knew. I was madly devoted to Liam. His affection was something I begged for, and this marriage was also something I begged for. But no one knew that my feelings for Liam were never as simple as love. More than anything, I wanted to repay him for saving my life that year. That year, I was playing around and fell into the water. It was Liam, tirelessly holding my hand from the bank, who made me hold on until help arrived. His wrist was deeply scarred from being rubbed against the stone on the bank, leaving a very deep scar even now. And at first glance, I recognized that scar on his hand. At that moment, I secretly vowed in my heart that I would marry him in this lifetime. But now, I walked step by step under the scorching sun. My pure white wedding dress was dragged through the dirt and turned gray. My feet were covered in blood blisters. And at that moment, Liam's accusing phone call arrived as expected. Grace, haven't you thrown enough of a tantrum? How could you not even come to Jamie's son's first birthday celebration? Attend the first birthday celebration? I sneered. Go see the first birthday celebration where they tore off my engagement photo face and replaced it with that child's diaper-clad photo? I lowered my head, looking at the part of my wedding dress that was caked with dust at my feet, my fingertips trembling. On the other end of the phone, Liam's impatient voice continued to ring out, "Can't you stop being so willful? I've already explained for you over here, and Jamie said she'd send you a compensatory gift." My throat felt clogged, and it took me a while to squeeze out a sentence. "Liam, have you ever considered that I am the bride?" He paused, then said, "We can get married anytime, right? Grace, don't be a buzzkill on such a festive day." "Really?" I said softly. My voice was ethereal and hoarse, as if it could be blown away by the wind at any moment. "Liam, I promise I will never bother you again." He froze on the other end. Then, just as he was about to start yelling at me, I hung up the phone. Before hanging up, I heard Liam on the other end erupting in fury, "Grace, if you keep this up, don't blame me for not marrying you." After hanging up the phone, I looked across the street at a couple taking engagement photos. Once, I truly wanted to marry Liam. When he agreed to marry me, I genuinely felt like the happiest person in the world. I opened my cell phone album. Inside were my planning records from the past few months, wedding plans, floral arrangements, cake designs. At first, I truly believed he was busy, but later, I discovered that what kept him busy was never work. On my birthday, he said he had a company dinner and told me not to wait for him. I believed him. But that evening, I saw on my social media feed that Jamie had posted a photo of barbecue, with the caption, "My buddy's treat, the meat is so good." And around her neck was the necklace I couldn't bring myself to buy, but had unexpectedly found under Liam's pillow. When I found it, I was so excited I almost cried. I thought he cared about me, and had even planned how I would show my surprise when he put the necklace around my neck. But now, that necklace was hanging around Jamie's neck. With trembling hands, I called him. I asked him if he remembered what day it was. He answered impatiently, "Grace, are you doing this on purpose? You know it's Jamie's birthday today. Are you checking up on me even about this? I told you, she's my buddy. Can't you stop being so petty?" With that, he mercilessly hung up the phone. That day, I waited for him all night. The candles on the cake had melted into a puddle of wax. I forced a sarcastic smile. Love and not love were so obvious, why had I never realized it then? He could always easily remember that Jamie didn't eat cilantro, yet he would always, as a matter of course, put the mangoes from the cake onto my plate, completely forgetting that I was allergic to mangoes. When child had a cold, he would rush over at 3 in the morning. But when I had a fever of 40 degrees and was completely weak in bed, when I asked him to get me a glass of water, he roughly pushed me away, playing games and saying, "You women are so dramatic." At that time, his push made me lose my balance, and I rolled from the bed onto the floor. Meanwhile, he and Jamie were laughing relaxed and carefree through his headset. "We said we'd play solo, right? Whoever loses has to call the other dad for a month." I lay on the floor, trembling all over. Their laughter echoed in my ears, familiar yet harsh. "You lost again, Liam. Quick. Call me dad." "Oh, all right, dad, is that enough?" I smiled bitterly and crouched down. One by one, I deleted all the photos I once had with Liam. Just then, a phone call came in. A hurried, concerned voice came from the other end. "Grace, where are you?" "I've heard everything. I just got off the plane." "Where are you now?" "I'll come pick you up." Listening to the familiar voice on the phone, a wave of relief suddenly washed over me. "Are you free today? Come get married." When that call ended, Liam froze for several seconds. Looking at Jamie, who was coaxing her child in front of him, he felt an inexplicable panic. "Where could she go?" he mumbled. Then he quickly reassured himself, "Someone with Grace's personality will be fine after a little tantrum. She can't leave me. She loves me so much, she's tried on her wedding dress 3 times, how could she just not get married?" He picked up his cell phone, intending to call, but Jamie pressed his hand down. "What are you calling for? You know Grace, she's always dwelling on trivial things. The more you coax her, the more she'll think she's right. Let her cool off for now. Tomorrow morning, buy a cake, bring some flowers, and everything will be fine." For some reason, Liam suddenly realized something. When was with him, she privately called Grace by her full name. Only in front of Grace would she say Grace followed by an honorific. Oddly, for the first time, Liam found Jamie's way of addressing her a little grating. He frowned, his heart unsettled, but she didn't look like she was just throwing a tantrum today. Then what else could I? TB? Jamie scoffed. She just thinks her wedding being rescheduled made her lose face? Women, they always want to be pampered. You know her personality. Besides, doesn't she always say that if it weren't for you, she wouldn't be alive today? At that, Liam actually felt a bit more justified. Yes, she always said he had saved her. And she was the one who cried and begged him to marry her. She was the one who said she wanted to repay him. Although he didn't know why should he humble himself to coax her? Women, just give them the cold shoulder, and they'll come back. Hadn't Grace always called to make up within half an hour every time? This time would surely be the same. He convinced himself of this. Time ticked by second. Liam sat in the dressing room, chain-smoking. His cell phone was eerily silent. Ashes fell to the floor, and Liam's fingertips trembled. Grace had never been like this. Especially the bustling noise of Leo's first celebration outside made him even more agitated. Liam irritably stubbed out his cigarette and stared at the silent cell phone. He couldn't sit still any longer. I'm going out to make a call. He stood up and walked to the end of the corridor without even grabbing his jacket. The moment he dialed the phone, his palms were drenched in sweat. Again and again. The phone remained unanswered. He grew more and more agitated, more and more anxious. Finally, on the last attempt, the phone rang 5 times. The call finally connected. Grace, it's me. He lowered his voice, trying to sound natural. I just had someone look at a new venue. I plan to fill it with champagne roses for you. Aren't those your favorite flowers? And the wedding dress you chose before was too revealing. I found you a different one, Liam. I interrupted him. My voice was calm, as if devoid of emotion. You don't have to bother. I looked at the magnificent wedding venue before me, with hundreds of cameras broadcasting worldwide. Calmly and indifferently, I said, I'm already married. The groom isn't you. Liam froze in place. His cell phone almost slipped from his hand. What did you say? His throat felt dry and tight, his voice choked. But the next second, the answer was a series of busy tones. Those few words completely blanked his mind. The wedding venue's clamor, laughter, and children's cries all became a distant hum. He stood stiff in the corridor, his chest feeling like it had been violently struck. Even breathing hurt. At that moment, he truly realized that this time, she wasn't just throwing a tantrum. Liam? Jamie's voice came from behind him. She held her child, her tone carrying her usual spoiled sweetness. Why are you still here? Everyone's waiting for you to make a toast outside. She saw his pale face and paused slightly. Why are you looking at me like that? Did blame you again? It's my fault, I caused you two to argue. But she's really making such a big deal out of something so small. Not like me, enough. Liam suddenly looked up, his eyes bloodshot. Grace, she's married, the groom isn't me. Jamie froze. She was about to laugh but saw Liam's almost frantic expression and instantly didn't dare to. This only made her expression more distorted and unnatural. But her mouth still held her habitual casualness and coquetry. She's definitely just trying to spite you. Women, they always play these games, not like me. You should just ignore her. Grace is always dramatic anyway. She'll be fine after a little fuss. Shut up. He roared, his emotions completely shattering. This frightened Jamie instantly. She stepped back 2 paces, her eyes reddening. Liam, why are you yelling at me? I'm just trying to look out for you. Stop pretending. He suddenly stepped forward, roughly shaking off her hand that was gripping his sleeve cuff. If you weren't clinging to me all the time, would she have been forced to this point? I cling to you? Jamie's tears immediately fell, her voice trembling. With a hint of indignation, Liam, don't forget, you said I was your best buddy. You said, I want to throw up every time I hear the word buddy now. What did you say? He ignored her further. The extreme irritation and suffocating feeling almost tore him apart. He pushed her aside, turned, and rushed out. Jamie stumbled from the impact, and the child in her arms cried out wah. She frantically tried to soothe the child but was deeply stung by the retreating figure before her. That was the man she had known for over a decade. For the first time, he had left her without even looking back. Downstairs, the banquet hall was brightly lit, laughter and toasting intertwined. Liam pushed through the crowd, with only one thought in his mind, to find Grace. He rushed out of the hotel, and the wind scattered all his drunken haze. At that moment, he suddenly remembered what she looked like the first time she tried on her wedding dress, a pure white gown, gentle eyes. She quietly asked him, Liam, will you really marry me? And he had laughed and said, of course, who else would I marry if not you? Now, looking back, that joke seemed to have become fate's biggest jest on him. Liam rushed out of Leo's first celebration. He aimlessly hailed cabs on the road, but all the cars seemed to be working against him, not a single one stopped. Just as he was reaching his breaking point with frustration, he suddenly looked up and froze instantly. On a giant LED screen, a lavish wedding was being broadcast live. Champagne roses everywhere, a golden dome, and an aisle 10 meters long. The bride wore a pure white trailing wedding dress, her smile so gentle it seemed almost unreal. It was Grace. He stared blankly at the screen. The groom stood beside her, tall and handsome, impeccably dressed in a suit, leaning down to adjust her wedding dress. Everything before him hit his mind like a clap of thunder. He could barely breathe. Address? What's the wedding address? He grabbed a passerby, frantically asking, where is that wedding livestream being filmed? Tell me. The passerby was terrified and couldn't speak for a long time. Fortunately, someone nearby who had watched the whole thing pointed Liam in the right direction. The moment he got the address, Liam rushed out without looking back. He ran like a madman, hailing cabs, running red lights, heading towards the ballroom without a second thought. When he burst through the entrance of the ballroom, the wedding was already nearing its end. Lights sparkled, and fireworks filled the sky. The crowd cheered for the perfect couple. He stumbled forward but was firmly held back by security guards. Get out of the way. That's my fiancé. Sir, please calm down. I said get out of the way. He roared with all his might, but his voice was swallowed by the fireworks. It wasn't until he saw me gracefully walking down the steps that he desperately yelled and rushed forward. Grace. I paused slightly at the sound. Turning, our gazes met at that moment. I showed no surprise, no panic. Only a faint smile. What, did you come to see my wedding too? He rushed over, trembling all over. Grace, please stop this. I know I was wrong. I can make amends. I'll change the ballroom back. I'll give you the wedding you deserve. I can change anything. I looked at him quietly, my eyes showing no emotion. No need, Liam, I already have everything. He looked at me in disbelief, stumbled back 2 steps, and murmured hoarsely, no, that's not true. You clearly love me, don't you? Just as he tried to reach for me, the groom stepped forward, gently shielding me behind him. Mr. Liam, the wedding is still in progress. Please show some respect. Liam stared blankly at the man before him, asking me, who is he? The groom looked at him indifferently, calmly replying, her childhood sweetheart, Nathan. At that moment, Liam realized for the first time that the man standing beside her had more confidence than all his former arrogance. Combined. What right do you have to marry her? He roared, his eyes red. She's the one I saved. She said she'd repay me her whole life. Nathan's brows furrowed almost imperceptibly. You? Then he looked at me. Is that why you always wanted to stay with him? I closed my eyes, sighed, and nodded. Nathan sighed, then raised his right hand and adjusted his sleeve cuff. A grotesque old scar was prominently visible, and his gentle voice rang out at that moment. Grace, you once asked me why I always wore long sleeves, like an old-fashioned man, year-round. I think I can finally answer you now. This is why. I froze. This was clearly the scar from when I was a child, when someone desperately held on to me, preventing me from sinking during my drowning accident. I had seen it countless times in my dreams, but I had always thought that scar was the one on Liam's hand. My breath caught, and tears instantly blurred my vision. The person who saved me that year, was it you? Nathan's eyes softened. I was afraid you'd feel guilty, so I never dared to tell you. But I didn't expect that it almost made us miss each other. He pulled me, crying uncontrollably, into his arms and gently sighed. You know, Grace, I've wanted to marry you for a long time, so much so that every year I go through all the wedding preparations, just to have the courage to propose to you. I never wanted to use saving your life to coerce you. I just wanted to wait until you truly loved me and willingly married me. No, that's not it. That's not how it is. Liam showed off the scar on his wrist, shaking his head like a madman. The one you love should be me. Grace, this scar, he stammered, afraid to continue. Nathan shielded me behind him, looking at Liam coldly. That scar is from when you pursued Jamie that year, and after she rejected you, you inflicted it on yourself. Liam looked up in shock. You, how did you know? Nathan sneered, pulling out a paternity test result. From his pocket. Not only do I know that, but I also know that before you even agreed to Grace's proposal, you already had a child with someone else. Nathan flung the report at Liam's face. Liam's hand trembled so much he could barely hold it. He looked down, and it clearly stated, DNA test results show that sample A, Liam, and sample B, Leo, are father and son. He was thunderstruck, his pupils dilated abruptly, and his face instantly drained of color, turning ashen. This is impossible. This is impossible. He suddenly looked up at Nathan, then at me, his expression almost twisted. It's fake. This must be fake. Grace, let me explain. Nathan's expression was indifferent, fake or not, you know best. Liam's body swayed, and with a thud, he knelt on the aisle. Grace, it's not like that. I didn't know that child was mine. Believe me, I never intended to betray you. That day, that Leo's first celebration, I was just exchanging my wedding for her child's 100-day celebration, right? My tone was terrifyingly calm. Liam, you used my wedding, which I spent half a year preparing, to throw a first birthday celebration for someone else's child. You turned the day I longed for most in my life into a joke. I was wrong, I was truly wrong. He lay prostrate on the ground, his voice hoarse, begging me again and again. Hit me, curse me, whatever you want, I can't live without you, Grace. I love you. I looked at him dispassionately. I loved you because I mistakenly believed you were the one who saved me that year. And you are not him. I gently took Nathan's arm, calm and resolute. At that moment, he completely froze. The bloodlust in his eyes gradually faded, leaving only an empty bewilderment. He suddenly picked up a stone from the ground and frantically scratched at the place where his scar was. In an instant, his wrist was bloody and mangled, a truly horrific sight. But he seemed to have received some reward, holding up his bloodied wrist, showing it off to me. Grace. Look. I have a scar now. You can love me now. Grace. Nathan looked at the man before him with disgust. Finally, he shook his head and instructed the security guards to drag him outside. However, even then, Liam continued to scratch himself like a madman, shouting as he did. I looked at the disheveled man before me, and suddenly felt that even hatred had lost its meaning. Turning, I took Nathan's hand, a deep sense of guilt spreading from the bottom of my heart. I'm sorry, Nathan, it's all my fault. His long fingers rested on my lips. Grace, with me, you never have to say you're sorry. I'm the one who should apologize. If I had been braver then, perhaps you wouldn't have experienced so much pain. But thankfully, it's all over now. He gently kissed my lips, with endless, tender love. Our lives can restart from this moment. His kiss fell again, and fireworks exploded behind us, exquisitely brilliant. Just like the love that had bloomed between us long ago. Just like us. Right now. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.